Losing my dad was a total shock. Nobody saw it coming. He was there one day, he was typing on his blog, which my 72-year-old dad had a blog, so how awesome was that? And he just leaned over. I lost one of the key people in my life to share stupid little things with, who would at least pretend like they cared, you know? But I didn't feel the burden of losing him in a lot of ways because we just had that conversation before he died. And because I said, I love you, and he sort of left this world on good terms with me. And so I didn't have that where I felt that there was anything else I had to add to the conversation, that he knew that he went knowing that I loved him. And so that made it a little bit easier. And it felt fine. And yet, I sure was eating a lot, and I sure was stressing a lot, and I wasn't sleeping maybe as great as I could have been, and maybe I wasn't getting out of the house, but it didn't feel that way to me. Like internally, it felt like, no, everything's fine. I'm coping with this perfectly well. What could possibly be wrong? And that wasn't the situation outside my head at all. So. I spent a couple of months just doing nothing but getting worse, like really just incredibly unhealthy, just depressed, and finally crawled out long enough to go see a psychologist, which is the last thing you want to do when it's the first thing you need to do. So I went to her. I got that sort of fixed. She said that you need to write your feelings down, and so I wrote like a little screenplay thing that, you know, just one of those things that you write and then sort of burn and whatever, and it felt better, and it felt good enough at some point that I was able to go to a doctor, and he told me what my weight was, and that was a huge wake-up call too, because then it's like, okay, now I can't do this anymore. I need to be grieving in a healthier way, and I need to be living in a healthier way. So my doctor recommended that I go to the wellness center where they have a test that you blow into a little tube and they tell you the exact number of calories you need. And so I happened to have a few days off of work, and I made an appointment, and I was set up with Jacqueline.
When we first met, I had talked to her about, obviously meeting macro requirements and the best ways to do that, how you meet those needs in the right way and with the right foods. And it was a progression.
Jacqueline gave me this list of foods, and everything, there was just so much amazing stuff on it. So there was like butter, olive oil, garlic flavored olive oil, many flavors of olive oil. There were a lot of foods on there that were not necessarily low cal, but worth the investment in my calories. And so that was what was really amazing. One of the things she recommended was a tracking app. So once I went into the tracking app, I noticed that those little meals that I had been eating, entirely based on the calorie count on the front of the box, when you turn the box around, they have ridiculously high sugar counts and, a whole list of ingredients, and some of those could kill you. So I should probably stop eating those. But now I think I'm in a slightly healthier place where calories aren't good or bad. It's like money, it's a budget. You have things you need to spend money on, olive oil and nut butters and other stuff that's higher in calories. You need it.
Through the whole grieving process, everybody grieves in different ways. Sometimes we don't eat, sometimes we eat more. Food is very commonly used as a comfort, especially in a time of grief, and I would say more often than not.
When I was eating like super unhealthy and grieving, sometimes you think, I will eat one piece of this cake and take it downstairs to my neighbors. That may not happen because, after you eat the first piece with your fork and not a knife, then now it's like, well, I've contaminated the whole cake, I better finish it. And there were some really bad nights like that.
Robbie started out, just relatively sedentary, not really understanding what she needed on any level, within her nutrition, within her movement, even within her mindset, not really understanding where she needed to be to where she is now. She knows without a doubt, what she needs for herself daily to make herself happy, to make herself strong, feeling confident, and nourishing her whole self.
One of the things I went and did was started walking, and when you get out in nature, it is so quiet and peaceful, and it doesn't matter what you're blasting in your ears, you're there with nature, and it has felt so amazing. And just being able to get out there and do it, everything is green, everything is gorgeous. It's just you and nature, and there's nothing else in between.
That was my time to say, hey, you know, let's increase your movement.
And so she gave me a lot of like little fitness challenges along the way and she never phrased it like that because that would have been intimidating and who would do that? But she knew the right words. She had the right words for the right spell to cast over me, and it always worked.
So that kind of evolved into more and more and more, and she really started taking up using the wellness center. She had been a member and hadn't been using it. Right? I said, why? Come in. You can come in after work. You can. We found a time within her work schedule that she could be here, and I started seeing her here. And then she decided she wanted to do more, and so we looked at how she could do that safely and working with a personal trainer. And
tuck in that pelvis. Good. Feeling this right here. Hold that for about 20 seconds, and then we're going to raise the arm and then lean towards the front side, getting a little bit of a deeper stretch.
She knows what will get me inspired and moving and keep me involved and engaged in things.
And stop. Good work.
Thank you.
I've
You lost 33.5 to date. How cool is that?
That's bigger than my TV. Oh my God.
I've told Robbie over and over, and I would tell her again, working with her has been a true pleasure. Working with her it's why I love coming to work every day. Helping people like her.
The weird thing is there's not really an acute sense of things are better now, everything is working, I'm gonna take on the world. That doesn't happen, but those negative things that would have stopped me before, they just aren't as loud. When my brother a couple years ago was like, oh, you should do improv, I wasn't really into it, and it wasn't till like really lately when I felt this healthy and energized that I was able to, something clicked and it all worked, and I'm here. As soon as you show up, they set everything up for you. It's not like there is no failure, but there's no fear of failure. It's awesome making people laugh. It's almost as good as baking them cake, but if I'm honest. So I lost the weight of a 10-year-old girl, and I still have a little Yorkie to go, and then I'll be good.